Hello, can you hear me? Can you guys? I can't hear you, Tricia. Okay, there you go.
Yes. I would be normally sitting at a desk, but I'm in the middle of moving and there's just piles and piles in my office.
Oh, okay.
So I'm at my couch.
Okay, great.
You look like you have a party going on, Jennifer.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Yeah, kids got some decorating done this weekend, so for Halloween.
Are we all here, or who are we missing? Jill?
Yeah, she's logging on right now.
Okay.
I don't see Daphne.
Oh, I thought I saw her. Okay, we'll wait just a minute, just so everybody knows we are already live streaming. Okay, I think we are all now here. And it's 6:31 p.m. Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Ms. Chrysler?
Here.
Mr. Hairston? Mr. Hairston?
Here.
Ms. Mooring?
Here.
Ms. Pickle Antonio?
Here. If you will all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. I don't normally say anything at the beginning of a meeting. We just kind of go into our meeting. But I know that this is a very unusual time in our community, in the middle of what has been a very unusual year. And I'm not going to say much. I don't have anything prepared. But as I was logging on tonight, I thought that I guess I want people to know that all of us, board members, administrators, all of us in the district. We know that this is a very difficult time for everybody in our community, for ourselves included. What I would say to anyone who is out there watching is that I know that there are lots of you that are reaching out to lots of us in multiple ways right now. We are all focused, as we should be focused, on trying to get this situation resolved as quickly and as, I guess, painlessly as possible. So if you are reaching out to us and we are not getting back to you, it is because we are focused on doing the things that we need to be focused on. I know that this year has asked a lot of all of us already, and I don't want to burden any of you by asking anything else of you, but if I could just ask that you try to have a little patience with us. We are all focused on getting this resolved. I guess the one other, I don't know, it's hard to stop, when people's anxiety is high, when fear is high, when emotions are running high, anger, sadness, all of it. I know it's really hard to think about the long-term consequences of things that are said and things that are done. But I hope that we can all recognize that the most important thing that we all focus our time and our energy on right now, if we're involved in helping to get the situation resolved, that's where we need to focus. And if we're not directly involved in helping to get the situation resolved, I guess I would just ask that you try to channel all of that energy into good thoughts toward the negotiating team as we resolve this situation. And again, I know that that is asking a lot when we've already, so much has been asked of all of us this year, but as emotions go high, people do say and do things that are hard to take back. And we are still one community here. We are one pride, one family. And that's what we will be when we get through this situation, which we will do. And I guess I would just ask that you keep that in mind over the next, I guess, period of time while we work through this. So that's it. I'm going to move on to the board business. We do have things that we still have to do in the midst of all of this. So we do have items that we need to talk about, take action on tonight, and then we will get back to doing the things that we need to do to get this situation resolved. Is there a motion to approve minutes from the September 15th Finance and Facility Committee meeting, the September 17th regular board meeting, the September 21st special board meeting, the September 22nd special board meeting, and the September 22nd Student Learning and Achievement Committee meeting?
I'll make that motion. This is Daphne Loring.
Thanks, Mrs. Mooring. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hairston, any changes to the minutes at all? Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
We are on school and community reports and presentations, and I think our Gahanna Lincoln Student Council President, Jason Raymond, is on. I will turn it over to you, Jason.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Raymond, your student council president, and this has been a year, to say the least. We're almost through it, and a lot of it is insane. And I wanted to speak about Sunday afternoon from 4 to 6 student council went in to decorate the school and make it feel like a school again. And I spray painted the rock as we were wrapping up the process, and it said "One Pride, One Family," and students across GLHS and teachers across GLHS wanting to feel that again. And although you say it, there aren't many people feeling it right now. It's been 217 days since people have felt that, since we've been in that classroom. And from what I've gathered from my fellow peers, my fellow students, my fellow teachers, is that the only thing stopping us is you right now, you, the board. And the students we hear you say you're advocating for, I know, personal testimony, they feel like they aren't sleeping, aren't eating, confused, worried about college and their future. And it's a completely understandable argument where you could say that if the teachers didn't go as far as to strike, our kids would be at school and they'd be learning. But one of the biggest reasons they have the support they've seen is that we see sacrifice, and students see sacrifice. Students are sacrificing education right now. Teachers are sacrificing salary or healthcare, whatever, all that stuff. And the only place we're not seeing sacrifice in is the board. And from a student perspective, that's hard to watch. And that first day of chaos, where I was getting, as student council president, getting messages across the board. What do I do, Jason? What do my teachers want from me? And I had nothing to tell them. Because a few adults couldn't really come to a decision. And that first day of striking, that first day of confusion, students feel, as well as I feel, there should have been a notion to address it, to address that problem. And every time we get communication from you, the only thing students see is that it always starts with our favorite message: we know this time is difficult. And students feel that it's continually made difficult for them. And I know some of you are fighting, and there isn't, no one's denying that you've tried, and that you've done everything. Well, you're doing everything you can at the moment, but some is not enough. We don't praise people for getting half their job done. We praise people for seeing things through to the end, especially in the world we're living in. There's more than the virus. There's more than that. And yes, that's the big backbone of what's going on and what we're going through, but there's more than that. And no one's saying that you aren't good people. No one's saying that we hate the people that represent. No one is saying that. People are saying that you're in a place of power and it must be used to protect teachers and students. In middle school, we all learned about the social contract and how we agree to let people rule and be in charge as long as you protect everyone's rights. And that doesn't seem, and the moment that doesn't happen, that contract is broken and change needs to happen, and people that are being governed have every right to do whatever they can to seize those rights back. And we learned that in middle school, and we understood that in middle school, and it baffles us as students to see adults not understand that concept. But then again, you guys are making the decisions. Just like we see in the world, Black people speak on Black rights, women speak on women's rights, and teachers and students need to speak on teacher and student rights. It shouldn't be any different because we choose to be a teacher and be a student. You guys may have had teaching in your career path. We're not doubting your education. It's just that teaching in the pandemic is completely new. It is a different set of training. It is a different set of rules that only teachers in the district have experienced. And that is a perspective I've heard from students that need to be heard. The teachers and students have learned and adapted. We want to be back in class. We don't want this to last a month. I want to go to college. All my fellow seniors want to go to college. Students are losing at the end of the day. Teachers are losing, and we're wondering how much you're sacrificing. 216 days. 216 days to come up with options for this next school year. I think we all knew it would be different. And from who I've talked to and interviewed through that process, which is the only place we feel like we can get clean cut information without it being through a filter, through a bias. We've heard that, like the seriousness of this pandemic, this strike was preventable. It was It didn't have to come to this. It's been a hard time. Yesterday, our One Pride, One Family mourned the loss, the 1 year anniversary of Jay Sean in a tragic incident. And within the same week, one of the board members, Mr. Campbell, posted on their blog, quote, "Look, I don't want my community to lose a child or a teacher to COVID-19. That would be crushing, but it won't change the nature of our community. We've lost precious children the past years, and we are still a family," end quote. The known strength of our community is not an excuse for you guys to not put the proper conditions in place to protect us, we feel. What your teachers or students are hearing is that we've gotten over death before, and we're just going to have to get over it again and again. Today, a lot has been brought up to me from board members, specifically Mr. Campbell, other quotes, like "this is trash" in reference to toxic masculinity, have been brought to me by women and men alike in the GLHS community. And these students don't feel safe with someone that speaks in that manner representing them. There's already petitions in way from other students, specifically led by women students. I'm going to keep them anonymous here, for the resignation of Chris Campbell. And we know that's drastic, but we don't feel safe with someone that speaks in that manner about students and to students. You guys come to almost a unanimous vote on nearly everything. However, this summer there was one vote that wasn't unanimous. The decision to release a Black Lives Matter message. The vote was 4-1, and I don't know who voted for what, but I do know Mr. Campbell spoke out against it. Speaking to my fellow Black community in my neighborhood, and at the strike, we don't understand how someone can say that when you're supposed to represent a community as diverse as Gahanna is, a community that stands for diversity. And if you're going to say one pride, one family, don't exclude people from it. We can't exclude certain groups because we don't agree with those ideals. It doesn't make sense to me that, or the students I've talked to, that we're in a place of that's supposed to be acceptance and understanding and sharing a school which we're supposed to learn and grow together. But it seems like some of you only want certain students that believe in certain things to grow. And we understand that some of you are trying. We understand that some of you show up for a lot of these things and that you've earned your spots on the board. But as a student, I have 4 years here. I'm moving on after this. And I am something without the teacher, but this is your place of profession, your place of work that you've decided to be elected into. And this board doesn't exist without your teachers. You guys are without the teachers and without the students, your job doesn't exist. I have students alike. We have things after this. This is your family. This is the One Pride, One Family and administration. You guys have a legacy, and it is known that students and across these huge families go through you guys. And the biggest divide isn't teachers, students, teachers versus students versus board, it's teachers versus board. And because a few adults can't come to a decision, we have people not sleeping, not eating. And if you're a student watching this, mental health first. If you get a C, I promise you, you'll get over it. I've gotten a C before, but a lot of these mental scars might take a while to heal. Please put that first. The teachers are a backbone of the district. Many of us believe that, and I understand the work you've put in to making Gahanna the place it is, but I'm the person I am because of my teachers. My teachers have molded and shaped me to be the person that I am today. I've never sat in the class with the board. I've never cried to the board except for now, apparently, but all the hardship, all the hard times, all the sacrifice has come from a teacher's standpoint. And when so many people are standing behind something and willing to give up so much, there has to be some truth to what they're saying. There has to be truth somewhere in that. You guys have to see that truth and have to understand that teaching in a pandemic is an experience that they share and they only share together, and learning in a pandemic is something we share and only share together that you guys just do not have perspective on, that you don't necessarily have the greatest perspective on because you haven't had to firsthand experience it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we have people that belong to these communities speak on their rights. It shouldn't be different for teachers. It shouldn't be different for students. But somehow it is, and somehow I'm afraid we're gonna hit 230 days before we get back in that building. Regarding the death of students and safety of students, every year the class of 2021 has been in high school, there's been a death. Freshman year, Mr. Hoying, we lost him to suicide. Sophomore year, Mr. Thomas, we lost him to natural causes. Last year, we lost Jay Sean in an incident. And in the case where it's preventable, every restriction, every chance needs to be made for it to be safe for us. In the case where we can prevent it, that you have the power to do it. We didn't have any power regarding Mr. Hoying or Mr. Thomas or even Jay Sean. They were unfortunate incidents, but we have power here, and to see you guys not utilize it, to see you argue on something as simple as advocating for a student on the basis of life or death is upsetting for the student body. A lot of us has been out there 8 to 5 with the teachers because they are the people that have molded us to be who we are today. I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say regarding my messages, but then respectively, I'm going to leave the board meeting because honestly, it's not great for my mental health right now. It's not the best. And as a student, multiple students like me struggle with mental health and understand wanting to be alive sometimes, and that we really don't have anyone right now. We don't have our counselors, and the only way I can see them is by attending a strike. That's the only way I can feel comfortable in knowing that my life is precious and that I'm loved. I have to see my teachers in a strike. Students have to see their teachers in a strike. I don't want my brothers, my sisters, I don't want families of other students growing up in a district where they don't feel safe. That's all I have to say. Thank you for the time again.
Thank you, Jason. I want to start. I do want to apologize to you because when you began speaking, I was distracted. My family was letting me know that there are some people outside of my house right now holding a candlelight vigil. And I just want to apologize to you because I was not giving you my full attention at the beginning of your speaking. I appreciate that you came here tonight. I appreciate that you spoke everything that is on your heart. I know that, you know, we're all adults sitting here, and you're a high school student saying some very difficult things to us. And I guess I just want to tell you, I know I sound like a mom. I think I said this to you before. I am a mom, but as a board member, I'm proud of you for being able to do that. As hard as all of it is to hear, you are brave. You are polite. You were well organized. And those are all qualities that we hope that our students have. So when the meeting is over, I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to everything that you said, because I unfortunately missed the beginning of it. And I know that it's going to be even harder to hear when I'm giving it my full attention, but I promise that I will listen. I don't know if any of my board colleagues have anything that they want to say or any questions for Jason.
And I just want to thank Jason for being here. And we're never too old to learn, and there's nobody that's in a position or place that should never be knowledgeable about a subject that they can't believe that they can teach anyone about anything, right? And so here you are, a student, and I think your words of wisdom should resonate not just tonight with us here in this meeting, but also with everyone that's listening and with this community. And I think that, we have a responsibility to do better. And I just want to thank you for just sharing and opening your heart and just teaching us an example of someone who is showing that they can be better and do better. And so thank you for that.
I also want to say thank you for speaking from your heart, Jason. It took a lot of courage to put those into words, and it's impactful, and thank you.
I know, Jason, that you said you were planning to leave after listening to us. You know that you're always welcome to stay, and I hope you will continue to come back every month, but you're also welcome to go. I know that I appreciate what you're saying about your mental health, and we all need to do the things right now that we need to do to take care of ourselves. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. But one last thing, the thank yous and the praise are appreciated, but they're not enough. That is only coming to me. And as a class student council president, I get this 10 minutes of glory. But what that thank you is really going to mean is changing you, changing the way some of you speak to your students and speak about your views, change and really having my education back, having the school having their education back is going to be the biggest thank you. Having our teachers back is going to be a bigger thank you than anything you can really quite honestly say to me right now. I understand regarding Mr. Campbell political views, life views it's different, but there are most definitely inappropriate ways to address things, inappropriate ways to talk to students, and we feel like you have checked those boxes, and you need the students feel like you need to reconsider your position on the board and what you're really in it for. And I encourage all of you to reconsider your positions and what it really means to you and what it means to the students and what it means to community, because the teachers and the students are the backbone of the district. People move here for the schools. People live here for the schools. People enjoy life here for the education. Thank you, guys.
Jason, I want to say something just real quick. I remember meeting you as a freshman in the student council class, and I remember that day, I think it was my second year here. And I think you're right. We owe you better. And I want you to know that we're getting closer. Today we worked on a counter proposal to our union. I think that things are moving in a better direction, but I also agree with you that if we don't get this done and forge an agreement that is mutually beneficial, then we're letting you down. And I know you're frustrated and you're hurt, and your honesty is poignant, and it's I could feel it viscerally what you were saying. So I appreciate you and what you did today, because I think it's like Mrs. Chrysler said, you were a teacher, and today for us, and we have to commit to get you back in school. And I know all the activities you love to do. And I've seen you many times perform, and it's not just about the performance, it's about the camaraderie and the, putting yourself in a situation where you collaborate with others and you build bonds and friendships, and you create, art. And I actually have one of your pieces of artwork hanging. It was a Bob Ross thing that you did that I bought at the community art fair. And so I know that we have let you down, and we need to do better. So thank you for coming tonight and challenging us.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jason. I'm going to say just one more thing, because I mentioned that there is a group of people that are out on my lawn right now. For any of you who are out on my lawn right now, I would come out there and talk to you, but I am in this meeting. So please know that you're out there. I hear you just as loudly as I hear Jason. I'm so sorry to do this to you, Sharon and Tricia, but there's no smooth transition. We do have to go through our board meeting. We have obligations that we need to fulfill to the community, in addition to all of the rest of this. So I'm going to turn it over to Sharon Tomko and Trish Twig to talk to us about the Gahanna Jefferson Education Foundation.
I'm Sharon Tomko. I'm going to go first. And usually our report for the Education Foundation is very lighthearted. And we talk about all of the things that we're doing to enhance learning across the district. But, that seems very trivial today. And, my whole adult career has been dedicated towards education, whether that be, my jobs or my volunteerism. And I feel the pain of everyone. I feel the pain of the board. I feel the pain of our community. And we just want everyone to know that we are continuing our mission as hard as it is. Tricia and I are continuing our mission to promote excellence across education by enhancing learning, by trying to raise money to give these kids innovative equipment. And we're not losing sight of our mission, even though everything is going on. And that's really all I have to say, except that, we are behind everyone, the entire community, and we feel the pain deeply.
I don't have a lot to add to that. I agree with Sharon. We've been in the community a long time, and our kids have gone through Gahanna schools, have had excellent experiences. And when we are here in Gahanna because of the education, and we're just here to support the school district and the students and the staff as best we can. And we will just continue to communicate via email and electronically, but just know that the foundation is here to support the school district.
Thank you both. we appreciate all of the work that you do, and there will be an after this. So we need you to continue to doing the work that you're doing. It is so important for the long-term health of our district and for our students. So thank you. Sorry, I've got chaos going on in my background. I hope you guys can't hear that. Next on the agenda is Gahanna Jefferson Education Association. Mrs. Palguda is not here this evening. So I'm going to move on to the Finance Committee. Mrs. Mooring, do you have an update?
I do. We did have a Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, October 13th. We had 4 items for the discussion. First was the September and year-to-date financials that our treasurer will be discussing tonight. And then we reviewed a levy summary that Treasurer Verlingo had put together. That was a nice tool to be able to see the history going back prior to my time on the board. So that was very helpful. And then thirdly, we talked about in November and May, we submit a 5-year forecast to the Ohio Department of Education. And so our treasurer provided us with assumptions and preparing the forecasts that we will vote on. Well, we'll review in detail at the next Finance Committee meeting in November and then vote at the board meeting following that. There are some appropriation increases on tonight's agenda, and that was our 4th agenda item of discussion on Tuesday. That is it.
Thank you, Mrs. Mooring. Mr. Campbell, do you have an update from Policy and Governance Committee?
Yes, our next meeting is on October 29th at 6:30. We have really moved through a lot of our policies very thoroughly and quickly over time. So it's going to be a very short meeting or a very easy meeting because a lot of the policies that we will be looking at on that day don't have a lot of changes. So just be aware, and I'll be in continual communication about that meeting as we get closer.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Chrysler, do you have any update from Student Learning and Achievement Committee?
Yes, we met in September and we went over the state report card. It was a very interesting discussion, I think, especially considering how the state report card looked in the midst of the pandemic. And so I think that if anybody is interested, that is recorded and available for people to listen to, because I think there was just some interesting insights there with respect to learning and achievement. So looking forward to the next meeting.
Thank you. We're on public participation, and I'm going to apologize to my board colleagues in advance because there were a number of people who submitted public participation. So I apologize to you because you're going to have to listen to me for a little while as I read through these. Just for anyone who is out there watching, even when we have been meeting virtually, we wanted to make sure that people could continue to participate. We value that community engagement. And so if you don't know, there's a link that's on the website, on the board website. That form only needs to be filled out if you intend to submit a statement to the board. So some of the things that I'm going to read tonight, it looks like there are people who maybe think that they have to fill out that form to watch the meeting. You don't need to fill out that form to watch the meeting. It's live streaming on YouTube. It's available for anyone to watch anytime. It's recorded. So some of the comments that I'm going to read, there aren't actually comments, but I'm going to read through them just in case you intended to submit something and there's not anything there. I guess I also want you to know that you can submit comments in writing, or you can upload video or audio. The way that public participation works is that it is your opportunity as a community to address the board. It's not a dialogue between the board and the person who's submitting public participation, but it's your opportunity to address the board. So sometimes it feels awkward, especially in person, when somebody comes and makes a statement and says things. Just know that there is follow-up that happens after public participation, but it's really there as your opportunity to address us, to say the things to us that you want to say. So I am just going to begin reading these. And I should note too, some of these public participation statements came several weeks ago, maybe even 3.5 weeks ago. But I'm just going to read all of the public participation statements that I have received since our last board meeting. So the first one is from Krista Wood. The topic is hybrid model daily schedule. And Krista's statement is in September 4th, district letter to parents, page 2, left-hand column. It said that students would use the quote, typical daily school / period schedule, not current distance learning schedule, end quote. In the September 12th letter, page 3, the plan was changed to trying to keep the current block scheduling after receiving quote, positive feedback from parents, teachers, etc. This change in such an impactful decision that affects our students' lives and learning should not be made without seeking broad general feedback from all parents in the district. I do not feel that the block schedule is working well for my students. They need something in this situation to look and feel, quote, normal, to give them hope, relief, and encouragement at this time. I thank all of the board members, Mr. Barrett, Miss Elliott, and staff for your hard work. I respect that the district is responding to feedback. However, a short general survey about the schedule option or some other attempt to gain more input from as many families as possible should occur before making such a change. I respectfully ask all of those in leadership to do so before making the final decision. Thank you. The next comment is from Agatha Mackay, M-A-K-I. The topic is how will student assessments be done in K through 2? How will reading intervention be done? And the topic comments, it says not applicable. The next comment is from Chad Dickerson. The topic is distance learning versus in-person learning ideas and suggestions. The comments are, is it possible to have a teacher at another school who wants to do distance learning teach my child? Have a few ideas and have questions I would like the board to consider. The next comment is from Christy Davis. The topic is what is going on with the board and why aren't they listening? The comments are not applicable. The next comment is from, it says Don Padova. The topic is strike and the comment is why. The next statement is from Candace Snow. The topic is town hall, and under comments, it says no upload. The next comment is from Lynn Oberdier. It's O-B-E-R-D-I-E-R. The topic is just listening, and the comments are just listening. So I think this was, like I said, I think there are some who think that they had to fill this out in order to watch. So I hope you know that you don't have to fill out any forms. We want you to watch our meetings. The next comment is from Alan Riley. The topic is issue 22, and the comments are none. The next comment, or the next statement, is from Jeff Schwartz. The topic is teacher mediation / negotiations and board participation. The comments are, number 1, as the, I'm so sorry, I lost my spot. As the elected officials representing the residents of Gahanna, please tell us how you attend the ongoing negotiations / mediation sessions. Number 2, I feel comfortable saying on behalf of many parents of children in Gahanna schools that I'm disappointed. From your perspective, are the remaining points of disagreement matters of cost, organization, or educational soundness? Over the last 6 months, other local school districts were adjusting their teachers' contracts to address the same challenges and concerns that we're facing. If the remaining points are not a matter of cost, then were those allowed to result in a strike rather than settled months ago? There is a second public participation statement from Jeff Schwartz. I assume it's the same Jeff Schwartz. The topic is hybrid models described to parents. The comments are, what happened to the hybrid and distance models communicated by the superintendent in July? Email sent July 8th. If that model had been agreed upon by the district administration and teachers union, then why did it change, leading to this stalemate and strike? The next statement is from James Bugenstein. It's Bugenstein. The topic is hybrid teaching model. The comments are, my name is James Bugenstein. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. My wife works for the school district and I have a dependent minor attending Gahanna Lincoln High School. First, I support the levy and bond issues. Although no one likes to pay property taxes, I prefer not to live in a neighborhood with crummy schools. Having said that, I don't have any answers. I mostly have questions with one recommendation. It's your job as school board members and administrators to have the answers to these questions before proceeding with any changes to the classroom structure. Number one, why has it taken so long to get a contract with the teachers union? Number two, it sounds like you are dead set on moving forward with the hybrid classroom. Have the teachers made any recommendations on how to implement the hybrid teaching model? Number three, is there room for compromise? Number two, do you have the IT resources and internet security to successfully and safely implement online and hybrid teaching? Number five, do you have any ulterior motives to delay finalizing the teacher's contract? Number six, what contingency plans do you have when COVID-19 cases and positive testing ratios increase? Number seven, what contingency plans do you have for when there is an outbreak in the classrooms? Number eight, what guidelines are you using to tell you when it is safe to reintroduce students back into the classroom? And number nine, what type of testing and contact tracing procedures are you using to create a safe environment? Until you have a testing plan in place, it may be wise to forego in-class instruction until district-wide testing is available, especially as cases and positivity rates are increasing. I'm not going back to my office until January, and then I'll have to be tested before returning to the office. The next statement is from CC Burkhart. The topic is teacher strike, and the comments are, why can't we come to an agreement? Our kids need to be back in school. The next statement is from Kevin's Dornsavel. It's DORSAINVIL. The topic is not applicable and the comments are not applicable. The next statement is from Candace Snow. The topic is school and the comments are no uploads. The next statement is from Desta Borland Cup. The topic is evidence-based decision-making. And she sent us a letter that I will read. To the Board of Education and Superintendent Barrett, good evening to the group. I am reaching to learn more about the process the group uses to evaluate evidence-based primary literature in the determination of how our school district manages decisions around COVID-19, pediatric and adolescent mental health, and the crossroads of the two. Are you able to explain the systemic processes followed? Is your team collaborating with the health infectious disease experts? My comments are from the perspective of a clinical pharmacist with specialty knowledge in critical care, emergency medicine, and quality and patient safety, but with my favorite job being a mom to two Gahanna students. Concerns. Number one, first, I am concerned an independent review of the most current literature is not part of the process. I recommend evaluation be completed in partnership with clinical experts with advanced training in, I think that should say in literature evaluation. Second, I believe the Franklin County Health Department has been cited as the recommending body for school decisions. Although in communication with the Ohio Department of Health, this group of appointed members do not represent a group with expertise in management of the current situation. Third, I am concerned the district lacks the ability to be nimble and make changes in a fluid manner. Please consider, 1, if an evidence-based path is not incorporated at this time, please consider a full literature assessment of the new evidence and ensure partnership with clinical experts. Number 2, keep communication evidence-based and avoid anecdotal commentary. Number 3, please balance decisions with mental health evidence. Some new key points. Number 1, with appropriate policy and procedures in place, COVID transmission can be mitigated. Our local healthcare institutions have demonstrated through contact tracing. Hospital associates are acquiring COVID at work, but in the community when they fail to follow I think I read that wrong, but hospital associates are acquiring COVID at work, but in the community when they fail to follow policies. Number 2, antigen testing has been shown to be oversensitive. Repeat tests can remain positive for up to 90 days due to broken down nucleotides. Retesting, I think that should say, is not recommended within 90 days. Number 3, transmissible virus occurs for just short of 10 days. If asymptomatic quarantine is no longer warranted, health systems have adopted this policy. Isolation and quarantine policies should be revisited. If negative, 3 days after exposure. There are some sources she cited. And then number 4, we now have evidence to show taking clinicians away from the bedside when COVID-19 positive leads to a negative clinical outcome. We also know taking children out of classrooms has a negative mental health and developmental outcome. Number 5, follow the science. Use the evidence pyramid to determine the value of evidence. As you move up the pyramid, this evidence is of more value. The evidence is piling up. Now it is time to use it to move forward. Thank you, Desta Borland Cup, Farm B. The next statement is from Darcy Wagner. The topic is strike, and the comments, it just says no. The next statement is from Catherine Hope Cunningham. The topic is levy, and the comments are as follows. Board members, first, thank you all for your service in what is essentially a volunteer job that requires a high time commitment and a tolerance for criticism, which is sometimes constructive, but often not. I'm not here to criticize, but I am here to express disappointment in the current situation and have some messages for various people. To the board and superintendent, I am a former K-12 teacher and can tell you from experience that if a group of teachers tells you something is inequitable or logistically impossible without compromising their full attention on students, then you can believe that to be the truth. The people on the front lines know what they're talking about. They are consummate professionals and they know what works and what doesn't. To the board, superintendent, and union president, Ms. Palguda, the passage of the levy cannot happen without full public support of the teachers. Many teachers who live in the district have chosen to keep silent regarding the levy because of the current situation, even though they may actually vote for it in private. When the teachers can publicly express their support for the levy, then it could pass. Time is of the essence. Every day that passes without a compromise is another nail in the levy's coffin, a levy that ironically supports teachers. I urge all parties, the board, the union, and the district to come to a compromise now so that the teachers can remove their self-imposed gag rule and publicly support the levy. Finally, to board member Matthew Campbell, there are no words to express my disappointment that you voted against an anti-racism statement. I watched your entire explanation in the archive meeting video, and you seemed amused to be, in your words, quote, the only anti-racism board member. Your amusement speaks volumes. I am not amused. Since then, your social media presence has been brought into the public's awareness. You are about to reap what you have sown. The next statement is from Jane Cruz. The topic is Matt Campbell. The comment is, I would like a comment from the board about board member Matt Campbell's blog and Twitter comments that are transphobic, racially insensitive, anti-mask, and making light of people dying from COVID-19. The next statement is from Mike and Kiko Jones. The topic is what teachers need versus the board, and the comments are not applicable. The next statement is from Rob Campbell. The topic is strike, and the comments, it just says no. And finally, the last statement that I have is from Jeremy Pape. The topic is superintendent, and the comments are, why is he creating a divide in the community with his negative comments toward the teachers? Again, I know that feels really awkward, but I just read a lot of things that were very difficult and that none of us are responding. If you are listening to the meeting, I am certain that there will be follow-up. It likely will not be until this situation is resolved, because I want to say again that all of our efforts, all of our time, and all of our attention right now is focused on where it needs to be, which is getting the situation that we're in right now resolved. I'm going to move on to communication and adoption of the agenda. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved, Ms. Mooring.
Thanks, Mrs. Mooring. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Chrysler, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston.
Yes.
We are on to the superintendent's report. I am going to turn it over to you, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just want to just reflect a minute about what's been happening in our school district. It's a very trying time. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety. People are exhausted, and everyone is looking for relief. And so I just want everyone to know that we, as a board and as administration, are really working hard to find a solution to this. And I think we're getting very close. Our teachers are working really hard toward a solution. We met at 2:00 yesterday. We met again at 11:00 in the evening, and we hope to meet very soon, maybe sometime tomorrow, hopefully. And we were even trying to see if the mediator was available this evening. We haven't heard yet. So I know that we have done some things that we could have thought out better. When I wrote one letter and I said, we talked about truancy for the asynchronous work. I wish we hadn't done that. When we wrote a letter to parents when the night the teachers voted to strike, I said something about them abandoning our kids, and that wasn't a good choice of words. That didn't show patience and understanding or compassion, and I regret that. And so I don't want to be divisive, and neither does our board. And I think things have been said on both sides, and we have to come together and find an agreeable, mutual solution. And I think we're really, really close. And so we're willing to do that. We worked on a counter proposal today, and we owe kids better. And Jason spoke so eloquently about that tonight. I appreciate what our principals have done to create work for students. We have an online platform ready to go that we don't want to use because we know our teachers are best for our kids. And we think this weekend, tomorrow and over the weekend, however long it takes, we're willing to meet to come to resolution. And I want to thank our board for working hard with us. You know, the issue is live streaming, and I think we've worked through some things on that. And you know, our goal from the beginning was to extend the school year beyond 50% time in school because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and really wanted to cover more of the curriculum. And it was ambitious, and you know, things became very fraught and very, very difficult. And we want our teachers back, and I know they want to be back. And so we're committed to making that happen. So I'll conclude my report with that. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mr. Barrett. Any questions or comments from board members? Okay, we are going to move on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Verlingo.
Yes, thank you. There are, I'm sorry, 4 items to be approved this evening, one being the financial report from the month of September, a list of donations from various individuals or organizations. We always thank those that contribute to our schools. It is certainly helpful in offsetting expenditures that we normally incur. There's a transfer of funds to cover the summer journey summer school program from last summer and offset the deficit in that fund, and some additional appropriations and some additional revenues, all in non-general fund activities. Again, I'll be brief since we did cover this Tuesday evening in the finance meeting. Cash balances are slightly higher than previous year, increase from the prior month due to collection of tax settlements that were delayed till September. Revenues, $14.4 million for the month, under estimates, again, due to the delays due to COVID in collection times related to receipts. Homestead and rollback receipts from the state were not received in the month of September and will be received in October. Tax abatement and TIF revenues are higher than expected and do require some additional analysis. The shortfall expected from the pandemic in terms of delays in tax receipts did not materialize in the tax receipts this quarter, but we do expect that we may see a slight dip in the spring collection period. Expenses are under estimates, mostly in the salary and wage category. They will continue to underrun estimates until the contract is settled. There were overruns in in benefits, mostly due to true ups and the surcharge settlement that occurred in the first quarter. Again, we have some small additional appropriations and estimated revenue changes. I had talked about the migration to state software, which we are delaying now until the spring due to the inability to attend training, given the situation we're in and activities related to the strike. And then there was the one transfer I mentioned to the Rotary Special Services Fund to cover summer school related expenditures. Most any other variances at this point I would attribute to timing. And that's all.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Verlingo? Okay, there are 4 items for action under letter C, financial business. Is there a motion to approve? If there's no objection to taking those items together, is there a motion to approve items number 1 through 4 under letter C?
I'll move.
Mr. Hairston, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Campbell, any discussion? Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll?
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Mooring,
Yes.
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler.
Yes.
We're on letter D, educational pupil programs and services. There is one item for action and one item for information. Is there a motion to approve item number 1 under letter D, educational pupil programs and services?
I'll move. Daphne.
Mrs. Mooring, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Campbell, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll?
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Mooring,
Yes.
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Sorry, we're on letter F, I think, and there are 3 items for action under general business. If there is not an objection to taking those items together, is there a motion to approve items number 1 through 3 under letter F?
Earl.
We skipped E.
Yep.
Okay.
We skipped
I was
E.
worried that I did. What did I skip? Letter E?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back to page number 5, letter E, human resources. There are 34 items for action. If there is not an objection to taking those items together, is there a motion to approve items number 1 through 34 under letter E?
I'll move, Mrs. Chrysler.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mrs. Mooring.
Any discussion?
I just hope all those winter sports get to take place.
Any questions? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll?
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Mooring,
Yes.
Ms. Pickle Antonio.
Yes. Now I think we are actually on letter F, which is general business, and there are 3 items for action. Is there a motion to, unless there's an objection to taking them together, is there a motion to approve items number 1 through 3 under general business?
I'll move.
Mr. Hairston, is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Chrysler, any discussion?
I reviewed the SRO contract, and I think it's important to note that we pay for 1 full salary of the SRO and 3/4 of a second SRO, and the city picks up the additional quarter for that. So thanks to the city for their partnership with those highly skilled officers.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll?
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Mooring.
Yes.
We are on board reports and discussions. I do not have a report as the legislative liaison tonight. Mr. Campbell, do you have any report from Eastland Fairfield?
Yes, I am actually. We hired a new superintendent at Eastland Fairfield, and as our current superintendent is kind of is heading towards retirement, I apologize. It just left my, I apologize. I don't
Yeah.
have any more information at this point.
Okay. Let me know if you want me to come back. I can move on and come back, or I could just move on. So just when I get to the end, if you have anything else.
Thank you.
Anything from Gehanna Parks and Rec, Mr. Barrett?
Ms. Selly, do you have anything from Parks and Rec?
Yes, Mr. Lofton shared that the senior center is scheduled to reopen on November 5th. Regarding a capital report that was requesting a park and trail asphalt resurfacing, park renovations, and play elements and surface replacement. And then from the director's report, the golf course continues to do great, and there is a great Gehanna Goblin Trail drive-through event scheduled for October 22nd and 23rd at Academy Park.
Thank you, Mrs. Elliott. Anything as the local government liaison, Mrs. Mooring?
No report for either of my assignments.
Okay, thank you. Anything from Insurance Committee, Mr. Hairston?
There's no report at this time.
Thanks. Anything from any other board members? And I guess also, Mr. Campbell, if you have anything else you want to say about Eastland Fairfield, I'm just going to open it up.
I was able to locate the information. Thank you. Eastland Fairfield hired Dr. Kimberly Peach Miller as superintendent. She will be, we hired her during our September 30th, 2020 special meeting. She will replace Superintendent Bonnie Hopkins, who announced her retirement in April after leading the district for 11 years. So Eastland Fairfield is very excited about this.
Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Any additional comments from board members? Okay. We have a motion to go into executive session. We typically put executive session at the end of a meeting because we know that people don't want to sit around and wait for us to go and meet somewhere else. It is at the end of this agenda. At this time, we don't anticipate that there would be board action after executive session, but it is possible that we will come back for some board action. We do have to adjourn after this meeting, so we will definitely be coming back for that. You are more than welcome to hang around and continue to watch the live stream. I do not know how long we will be in executive session. We will be coming back here, though, if for nothing else than to adjourn. So is there a motion to go into executive session pursuant to revised code 121.22 G4 for the purpose of preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees?
I'll move. Maureen?
Thanks, Mrs. Mooring. Is there a second? Mr. Hairston? Any
Yeah.
discussion? Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll?
Ms. Mooring,
Yes.
Ms. Picolantonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston.
Yes.
It's 7:42 p.m. Board members and anybody else in this Zoom, please remember to fully exit out of the Zoom and go to the other virtual meeting room. Are we all back?
I don't see Jennifer.
Jennifer, I see that. You know what? I don't think we need her in order to adjourn. So it is 8:59 p.m. We are out of executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mrs. Mooring, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hairston, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Verlingo, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Mooring,
Yes.
Ms. Pickle Antonio,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Chrysler.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 9 o'clock. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.